Hi everyone, I am Malika from Phuket. In this section, we will go through some GED science practice questions together and I will show you how to tackle them step by step. Let's get started. The diagram below shows a typical energy pyramid. So you can see the energy pyramid here. Below is producers, primary is the next one, secondary consumers, and then tertiary consumers. Which statement correctly describes the flow of energy through this pyramid? So you have to show the flow of energy. How is the flow of energy going to be? The option A is all of the energy from the lower levels is available to the top level. We know that the producers are the one who gets the direct energy from the sunlight. And from producers then comes to primary consumers, then primary consumers to secondary consumers, and secondary consumers to tertiary consumers. So the energy level or the energy obtained by the primary consumers will not be equal to the producers. The same way, the energy consumed by the secondary consumers will not be same as the primary consumers. The same way, so the level or amount of energy will be getting reduced as you go up to the pyramid. So in that case, the option A is not going to be the correct one. Option B is given as the producer level directly provides energy for all of the other levels. That means the producer is the one that going to give the energy to all these levels directly. It's not going to be the correct one because the producer is the primary one. Like they are the one who is giving the initial energy, and then primary will get the energy, and then from the primary the secondary is going to get, and from the secondary the tertiary is going to get. So that's how it goes. So option B is also not correct. Let's see the option C. Highest amount of energy is transferred from between levels that contain consumers. Highest energy, as I said, that the direct energy is going to get is to producers. So highest level of energy is in the producers, and as it goes up to there, the energy amount of energy is going to reduce. So that also not going to be the correct option. So let's see, D is left now. Energy is directly transferred from the primary consumers to the secondary consumers. So this can be the correct one because the secondary consumers will be getting directly energy from the primary consumers, and the primary consumers are getting the energy from directly from the producers, and tertiary consumers will be getting directly energy from secondary consumers, not from the producers. So in that case, the option D is going to be the correct option. So the answer is option D. A scientist collects data on the solubility of the different salts at different temperatures. The results are shown in the graph. So you can see in the graph here, salt solubility at various temperatures. This is the increasing solubility, y-axis, and in the x-axis you can see the temperature. And these are the salts that are given here. Different colors. The red one is showing the like lead nitrate. The blue one is potassium nitrate. Yellow is sodium chloride. Green one potassium chloride, and the purple one is cesium sulfate. So question is, which conclusion is supported by the data in the graph? So the option 1 is solubility always increases as the temperature increases. You have to see whether this answer given, the choices given are matching with the graph or not. So in option A, it says that solubility always increases as the temperature increases. So you can see for the red line and blue and green, yellow here, all of them are increasing as the temperature increases, the solubility Rate of solubility is increasing as the temperature increases. But for the purple one, it is not increasing. So the rate of increase is decreasing as the increase in the temperature. So that means A is not going to be the option here. Next is B. 40 degrees Celsius potassium chloride has the highest solubility of the salts in the table. So when you look at the potassium chloride, that is going to be the green one. The green one has the higher solubility than the yellow and the purple. From the graph, you can understand that. And yellow is going to be the sodium chloride, and the purple one is the cesium sulfate. So of course, green one is higher than these two, but we have another two which is higher than the green one, that is blue and red. So that means that option is also not correct. Next is the rate of change of solubility of potassium nitrate changes as the temperature increases. Rate of change of the solubility of potassium nitrate. So potassium nitrate is this one. So you can see this one, potassium nitrate's rate of change of solubility is increasing as the temperature increases. So that is clear, and it matches with the graph. So the answer could be C, but you have to do the D also. The solubility of sodium chloride does not increases with the increase in temperature above 80 degrees Celsius. So yellow one is the sodium chloride. So solubility of sodium chloride does not increases with the increase in temperature above 80 degrees Celsius. So why the 80 degrees Celsius here, you can see somewhat it is horizontal here. But when you look at carefully, you can see that it's not completely horizontal. It's still a slight increase is happening. So that means D is also not correct. And you can see from the beginning itself, it's increasing. The rate of increase is just decreased over here, but it is still increasing. So according all these options, C is the perfect one. So the answer is C. Newton's second law of motion states that the acceleration of an object is dependent on the object's mass and the amount of force applied to the object. The table shows data from an investigation of Newton's second law. So here the table are shown as net force here. This is mass and this is acceleration. Here, which statement describes the pattern established in the data? Include the chart. So the first option is given as doubling of the net force increases the acceleration 4 times when the object's mass is constant. So object's mass is constant. So just see this one. This is 8 here and the mass is 2 and the acceleration is 4. So we are going to compare the first data with the rest of this. So doubling the net force. So net force is double means we have to compare that one with this one. Doubling. Here it is doubled and the mass is also constant here. But what do you see about the acceleration? Acceleration is increased by 2 times. So it is says that it's 4 times here. So that means this one is wrong. Let's go to the next one. A doubling of the net force decreases the acceleration 2 times. But we can see that it's not a decrease here. The same thing you can see in the second part, second one. This is also doubling the mass, doubling the force, and the mass is also constant. And you can see it is not decreased, it is always increasing 2 times, by 2 times. But here it shows that it is decreasing. So that means this is also not going to be the answer. The third one, a doubling of the mass decreases this acceleration of the object by half. Doubling the mass. So where exactly is the doubling the mass coming? Let's see that. Doubling the mass. Doubling the mass means where exactly is double mass coming? Here. So this is the first one and this gets doubled. So we are going to compare the first and second here. And doubling the mass decreases the acceleration of the object by half when the net force is constant. So here the force is constant, same value, it's not increasing. What happens to the acceleration? Acceleration is getting half. It was 4 before, it becomes 2. And the same thing you can compare here also. Force is constant and mass was 2 before. In the second case, it is doubled into double 2 times. And you can see that the acceleration become half. Acceleration is half. It was 8 before and then it becomes 4. So that means C is going to be our answer. That is the correct one here. The diagram shows an event that occurs during meiosis. So here you can see during the meiosis, crossover is happening, and after the crossover, you can see the result is these two chromosomes. So you have to say how the chromosomes look like. From the picture, you see that this is maternal. Maternal means mother's chromosome. This is mother's chromosome and this one is father's chromosome. So father's is a red one and mother's is a gray one. And when they cross over, you can see the two chromosomes are combination of parents now. So what is the result of this event? That is the result. You have to choose which one suitable for this result from here given options. So A says that the chromosomes that are formed after the crossover are genetically identical to the paternal chromosome. Paternal means only father, and you can see that it's not only father. If it is was only father, it should be red. Whole both of them should be red, but it's not like that. It's a combination of gray and red. So that is not correct. A is not correct. Now B. Chromosomes that are genetically identical to the maternal chromosome. Again, maternal means mother. So mother is gray here. So if it is mother's, it should be gray. Both of them should be gray, but it is not like that. So that is also not correct. C. Chromosomes that are genetic combination of the parents' chromosomes. Yes. So it's a combination. You can see both red and gray are there in this chromosome. So that means C is the answer here. And D says the chromosomes that contain a different amount of genetic information than the parents. It cannot happen, right? It should be from the parents only. So D is not correct. So C is the answer for this one. Researchers collected data to determine volumetric bone density of 4 samples. The data are recorded in the table below. So this is the mass and this is the volume. And density is equal to mass per volume. You are given the formula is given already. So you have to find what is the average bone density for the data sample provided. So you have to find out the bone density first for each sample given here. So let's find the bone density of the first one, that is mass divided by volume. So 6.8 divided by volume 2.6. The same way the second one is going to be 1.7 divided by 5.4, 3.6 divided by 11.3, 5.2 divided by 17.4, and the corresponding values of this one is going to be, so you get these values here: 0.300, 0.314, 0.318 and 0.298. Now you have to find out the average, because average bone density. So what you have to do is you just have to add all and take the average. That is going to be 0.300. So you get 0.3075 which is approximately near, when you round it, you are going to get 0.31. So the answer is going to be 0.31 grams per centimeter cube.